Hello, everyone. It's Claire again. Happy Easter to you all. I hope your week has been good so far. Thank God for that. I pray that the resurrection power will continue to speak in our lives in the mighty name of Jesus. That same power that rose Christ from the dead will continue to impact every aspect of our life and to transform and change every aspect of our life where we need change in the mighty name of Jesus. Now, I'm just going to comment briefly about Paul Enenche. There's been a whole lot of things said about his conduct so far since the death of Osinachi. One of obviously, I guess the I think it was said that Osinachi is one of the lead singers, in his choir in the church in Abuja. So now I find Paul Enenche'S attitude a bit disturbing. If we must replicate or represent who Jesus is, we must be able to show empathy. We must be able to show love. We must be able to be humanitarian. We must be able to, and it's not something that we have to practice. It has to be in depth. It has to be on. We have to be intentionally um, loving and sensitive to the needs of others, affectionate, sympathetic. I was wondering. This is a woman who was a very important part of his church, Paul Enenche'S church. And then, according to the reports, she's been on a life support. But while she was still on life support, uh, Paul Enenche took time, organized a crusade in outside the country, somewhere in Cameroon. And I saw some different videos and photos also of Paul Enenche holding so many cloches, purportedly used owned by uh, disabled people who, according to him, who were healed during his crusade in Cameroon. What I don't understand about this 21st century Pentecostal pastors and GOs, so to say, is that I really don't know how they sleep at night. I really don't understand whether they think that people are fools, or maybe I don't know the kind of people who follow them or who believe in them. I guess Paul Enenche himself, he used to be a medical doctor and he understands medicine. He understands um, the reality of medicine, so to say, and the practicality of medicine. It is also said that a majority of the clutches that were held by him, they all looked brand new clutches. So it now looked as if those it's obviously what we are used to. We know that a lot of times these people they arrange these miracles. Now, the my question now remains: if Polinenche had that gift of healing to the extent that he healed so many people in Cameroon, how come he did not visit um, um, Osinachi in hospital? All he needed to do, lay hands on her, and then just command her to rise and walk, and then she will be healed. But he didn't. He didn't do that because he didn't have the capacity spiritually and otherwise to do that because he's not God, he's not invincible. What am I trying to say? Am I saying that miracles don't happen? Of course miracles do happen, but now it becomes a thing of concern when the practicalities or the possibilities of performing such miracles, we don't have the resources or the wherewithal, or we are not in tune with the spiritual things. We're not in tune with God to the extent that we're able to actually act based on the belief in God in order to see these things manifest. Because we do not qualify. because we've not been able to build ourselves spiritually enough to be able to have that propensity or capacity to heal people to that extent. So if Paul and Enenche could not go to the hospital to heal Osinachi, I wonder why he had to travel all the way, did all the while to Cameroon, and then he was healing all the cripples. So we indirectly, it's like we feel cheated. That is it that he did not value everything Osinachi did in his church. He did not value her. He would rather go to Cameroon to perform um, his miracles rather than performing the miracle very close home, very close to home, so to say. That's even by the wayside. I think Enenche, Osinachi died on a Friday, and Enenche came back, and there was a church service in his church in Abuja on Sunday. It is known, it's a well-known fact now that there was no single mention of the death of Osinachi all through that 2 to 3 hour church service on Sunday, less than 48 hours after the death of this woman who was a lead singer in his church. And then he begins to, you begin to wonder what kind of humans are these? What stuff are they made of? These people, how do they actually exemplify the love of Christ? The same love that Christ preached or that Christ modeled to us. If truly we say we are Christians, no mention was made of that woman's name. There was no 1 minute silence, nothing. And did you see how throughout Enenche and his wife, they were celebrating, they were dancing, they were jubilating, they were so overjoyed. They were carrying themselves in the way as if you would think that a good news, something happened that actually, as if they won the lottery, so to say, or as if they actually had that Osinachi had been discharged from hospital and God healed her. I'm not saying that God is not able to heal anybody, but I'm just like saying, what's effrontery? Is it that these people, they actually think that their members or members of the public are fools? What effrontery? And this is one thing I also noticed about a lot of these Pentecostal churches. Why is it that they don't like talking about the dead? Why is it that we know that we are all mortals? We're all, excuse me, we're all going to die one day. So why is it that when a member dies or somebody dies or a member of their church dies, they try to brush it under the carpet? They try to not show emotion. They try to not talk about it. I believe strongly that it's part of their business strategy. And this is why a lot of times these people, these Pentecostal um, preachers, prosperity preachers, what they do as part of their business strategy, they carry themselves in such a way as if they are invincible. They try to make their gullible followers believe that they eat breakfast with God, they eat lunch with God, they eat dinner with God. You understand? So that and that before their members can see God or can have access to God, it has to be through them. You understand? And so and there are times that they also sell these lies to their members that if you leave their church, you are not going to have the covering. And once that covering leaves you, something is going to happen to you. You might have an accident, you might die, fall sick, or you might die or something. So they sell these lies. They propagate these lies to their members to make them think that if they continue to be under their tutelage, they are not going to die. Something bad is not going to happen to them. So this is why most of the times they don't like talking about it from you hardly hear it from their pulpit. You hardly hear them talk about a death or that somebody has just passed on. Even when the person is old enough, maybe even when the person is old, it is very rare. But you realize that when it is their close family members or the close family members of one of their favorite pastors, they bring them to the church, they do the service of songs, and they talk about, and then they change the narrative, and they would start saying, "Oh, the person is God's general, God's general." Then testimonies will start coming about how somebody saw the person in heaven, how God actually allowed the person to go, how the person chose to go, how God, they will just come up with all kinds of stories just to kind of continue um, to mislead or to lie to their gullible followers. This is one of the reasons why they don't like this. Obviously, this is one of. So I'm not surprised. I wasn't actually surprised that Enenche did not actually talk about on Sunday when it was still fresh. Did not talk about anything about um Osinachi. Rather, they were him and his wife. They were dancing. He was jumping. He was jumping, and that's a young woman of 42 years who was part of your church, an important part of your church, leading the choir. She just passed on, and it wasn't a natural death. It was a painful death as a result of domestic violence. I really don't understand what was there to celebrate, what was there to be happy about. What is wrong as humans if him and his wife or the whole church had taken time, at least 30 minutes of that day out of the 3 hours, to actually mourn that woman, or even 1 minute to recognize the fact that, to honor her memory. You understand? And then you start wondering that what aspect of the Bible do these people study? What are these people made of? Why are they so unsympathetic? Why do they lack empathy? Now we've been talking about domestic violence. A lot of these preachers, a lot of these 21st century preachers, they are abusers themselves. You see that they bully their members, they make their members feel small, they make their members feel that they enslave their members, they put fear and anxiety into their members, they coerce their members to do things like actually using their credit card to give to them and then go back to start paying these debts. They coerce their members into selling properties to give to them. They bully their members into actually uh, uh, giving to them the only. Let's say, for example, somebody has just one car, and they intimidate them and coerce them into giving sowing that one car into the lives of their so-called pastors, while they the pastor that has maybe 10, 20 cars, and then while they jump molars and buses all about town. So that on its own, it's abuse, it's financial abuse, it's emotional abuse, it's psychological abuse. They also abuse their members sexually and all of that. You understand? So I'm not surprised to know that Osinachi's husband himself is a pastor in DUNAMIS church in Abuja. So it's like tell me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. So I would say it won't be out of a place to say he would have been a pastor in that church for more than at least a period of 5 years. So the question now is that who is he learning from? Who is his mentor? Why is it that even if he has a problem, if he's a damaged man, how come he has not been able to be helped and to be transformed by the word of God all through the times he's been in that church? So meaning that he's just been playing church, he's just been busy being the head of the usher, or doing his pastoral work or something. He was not really broken. And then these are the things that you begin to question. What is the role of the church? In what way does the church transform and change people? Does the church actually sell the kind of God that the church sells to its member? Is a God that's a God of transaction, a God that they transact with, a God of kalu say to say, a God that they gamble with us. And if you bring £100 and give to that God, the God will now give you £1,000,000, or give you the husband you're looking to marry, or that good job or something. We must at all times realize that God is not a God of transaction. The relationship we should have with God is that transforms us. And so what it means is that you are free to come the way you are, but please don't remain the way you are. If Osinachi's husband was hearing the kind of words that would transform his life from the bully and the damaged man that he used to be to a better husband, then it would have meant that we're hearing the appropriate teachings and preaching in that church in Abuja. But unfortunately, like a majority of all of them, they were busy playing church. So it's just like activity. That is what is going on in most of these churches these days. Activity. People are so busy in involving in activity. They are so vain. They are not deep into the things of God. And so the fear of God is not in them. So the question now remains, what was Paul Enenche and his wife, what was it that they were celebrating? What was the occasion? What were they celebrating? Were they celebrating the death of a 42-year-old woman who died in a painful way, leaving 4 young children? What was it they were celebrating? All through that Sunday, even in subsequent videos, you saw that they were celebrating, dancing. It was jumping, like an overexcited teenager or something. Look, it's so disturbing, and then you are wondering what is there to celebrate. Even listening to his speech, you see that he was trying to. It was more about him, about his image that he was trying to protect, not anything to do with the painful passing away of that young woman. So it's so unfortunate, and this also serves as a warning to religious people, to their followers, these people who buy into these GOs. You use your resources, you use your money, you use your time, you use everything that you have to sow into the life of a man. You use your talent, you sing in the church, you are a church worker, you are cleaning the church, you are leaving your home 6:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning, you want to be church, and they are telling you are working for God, work for God, God will do this for you. And the day anything happens to you, the church or the GO or the leadership of that church, they will be nowhere to be found. They won't even recognize or even miss your presence. So you have to think, you have to use your head. You have to now begin to understand that these people, they are not interested in you. They're not interested in you. They're only interested in their bellies. They're only interested in their image. They're only interested in their brand. They're only interested in the growth. And when they talk about the growth of the church, they're not talking about the growth and multiplicity of people as it borders around their relationship with God. Growth and numbers that they're counting, it's as it relates to figures. How much are they able to get? How much are these people able to sow? How much are they able to gather at the end of every Sunday? That is all they are interested in. You understand? To say that I am disappointed at Paul Enenche and his wife is an understatement. But you realize that it's this same lack of empathy you see in most of the leadership of all these so-called mega churches. If you look at Oyedepo, who is who mentored this same Paul Enenche, you see it's the same thing. They lack empathy. A lot of them, they lack empathy. They don't feel nothing. They don't feel other people's pain. They don't feel other people's grief. They don't behave like humans. And then you are wondering that what kind of Bible do they read? The Bible that they read every day, is it different from the same Bible that we read? The Christ that they profess every day, is it different from that same Christ that was full of compassion and love and humanity? Is it that same Christ that these people are following? How do people like this, how do they sleep at night? Why are they so engrossed with everything about them is about their image, about branding, about money, about what they acquire? Everything about them is so carnal. And yet they are preaching heaven, but their action doesn't show that they are ready to actually go to that heaven. And indeed, as a matter of fact, their action doesn't actually show in reality that they believe in that same heaven that they preach. Unfortunately. So what am I saying in essence? To your turn to Israel. Work out your salvation with fear and trembling. The book of 1 John 4, 7 and 8 actually says, "Beloved, let us love one another, for love is of God. Whosoever loves is born of God and knows God. Whosoever does not love does not know God, because God is love. The greatest way you should express love, when a person who has worked with you, who has put in her talent and her resources into your business empire, you will realize that a lot of people may have been coming to that church because of the voice of that woman. They just want to come in to listen to that woman. So she has impacted a lot of people through her music. But that woman died an untimely death. And within 48 hours, all the church could do was to celebrate. And then the head of the church is dancing and jumping and jubilating. What are you celebrating? What stuff are you people made of? What God do you people really say you serve? The Jesus that you call, is it the same Jesus that was full of compassion? Why is it that you people lack empathy? Why is it now so not even so surprising that a person like Peter Wanchuku has been under your tutelage for years and yet did not get transformed? Because abuse is not greater than abuse. Abuse can be physical, it can be emotional, it can be psychological, it can be mental, it can be financial. So even as leaders of the church, when you abuse your members, you make them feel small. You make them feel that they will not make heaven apart from giving, except they give to you. You make them empty their bank accounts. You first of all remove all their self-confidence from them. And then you begin to preach and to teach fear. So that again is abuse. So a lot of these 21st century Pentecostal preachers, they are narcissists, they are abusers. They abuse their members. They have no empathy, they have no sympathy, they have no compassion, they have no affection. To them, it's just all about the money. It's about the money. After they've used you, whether you fall down and die or something happens to you, they move on to their next victim. They really don't care. I was listening to a story of a woman who was a church worker with the Yoruba's church, and they gave her an accommodation within the premises. And then she went to get, I think she went for a surgery. Before she did that, she went to the Oyedepo to pray for her. Unfortunately, she went for the surgery and she did not make it. Within a period of 48 hours, as mentioned by her close family members, they had replaced her. They put some other person in her room, gave the person her role in the church, and they had already moved on. You understand? So your tent, O Israel. So when you begin to worship these people, you begin to say, they begin to mislead you into thinking that serving them equals serving God. There's a difference between serving God in spirit and in truth than and working in the church. When you're a church worker, you're trying to organize things for them so that everything will be prim and proper for them to be able to do their business. It's got nothing to do with service to God. It's got nothing to do with. So don't get it twisted. Don't let them deceive you or brainwash you. So when they keep telling you you don't want to serve God, or your wife is preventing you from serving God, or your husband is preventing, that's a lie from the pit of hell. There is no greater service to God than obedience to God. And what is the obedience to God? The fear of God. It is said that the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. If you like, be a church worker and live inside the church 24/7, clean all the chair, sweep all the whole church, clean all the toilet and everything. If you don't have the fear of God, you've only just done. You've only tried to do eye service for the pastor to see that you are working for him, to help him build his business empire, unfortunately. So am I surprised over Enenche and his wife's conduct on that Sunday? No. A lot of these Pentecostal pastors, they lack empathy. They lack human feeling. They lack compassion. The Christ that they preach is definitely different from the Christ that the Bible has taught us. That same Christ that was filled with compassion. That same Christ that after teaching the crowd, he will look at them with compassion and decide to feed them before they can retire for the day. That same Christ that was so compassionate that he healed the sick, he mended the brokenhearted. So it's different from the same Christ that these people are now selling to us, are propagating to us, because these people, they lack sympathy. When people die, when their members die, they don't want to talk about it. They don't feel anything. They don't, it's nothing to them. It's like, we want, it's that one, just go out of the way. Let's not talk about it. Let's move out to the move on to the next victim. So these are narcissistic tendencies, no empathy, no human feeling. You don't even know whether people are grieving. That is why you see that the most vulnerable people are the people who end up becoming their targets that they exploit and they take undue advantage of, because they don't feel anything. They don't feel anything for anybody. They are just like shrewd businessmen and women who want to take undue advantage of people in order to climb the ladder of success, to make themselves billionaires. And the thing is, they are never satisfied. And that's why the Bible calls them clouds without waters. So when next you are serving in that church, when next you are abandoning your own family, the time you spend with your family, the time you build your own family, the time you spend with your children, the time you build your children, and then you are running like a headless chicken saying that you are going to be a church worker, you are going to serve God, you are going to serve God. Be careful, because the greatest service that you can give to God and to humanity is, first of all, to serve in your home, to serve in your home, to spend time with your children, to spend time with your husband, to spend time with your wife. So if a better part of your week, you spend it running helter-skelter, saying that you are going to serve God, and you abandon your family, your wife and your children, if anything happens to you, I am sorry. Nobody's going to come and to sympathize with your wife, or even to organize any service of songs in their church. A family friend of mine recently died. He died at the age of 52. I remember when he was alive, the few times I spoke to him, when you call him, say, where are you? On a Monday morning, where are you? He will tell you he's in church. This church in Warri. I think the church belongs to Ayo Rishejafo. He was always in church 24/7. And then you'll be wondering, on a Monday morning, when you are young, when you should be at work, you will be in church. You say you are in church. But he died recently. I was shocked to see that it wasn't, it wasn't, the service of songs didn't take place at that Ayo Rishajafo's church. No. They went and got a smaller church. Maybe somebody went and organized, and they did the service of songs at a smaller church. And all the friends that gathered around him, they were not members of the church. The church was not represented in any way. So be careful when you carry all yourself, you carry your resources, you carry everything. A lot of homes have actually been broken because of stupid men and stupid women who actually choose church over their matrimonial homes under the pretense that they are serving God. You are not serving God, you are serving your pastor. So in rounding up, I am disappointed at Paul Enenche'S conduct, and obviously the conduct of his wife last Sunday, 48 hours after the death of Osinachi. It doesn't show the love of Christ. It doesn't show that he has empathy. It doesn't show the kind of love and compassion and affection that Jesus exemplified to us, unfortunately. Well, it's to your tent, O Israel. We need to learn from these things. You understand? Because if it can happen to Osinachi, it can happen to any other person. Now, in rounding up, when God places people in our lives, we got to be careful the seeds we sow in their lives. The difference between humans and animals is the Spirit of God that we have on the inside of us. And that Spirit of God basically transcends and makes us to become people who are compassionate, people who have empathy, people who have love, people who have humanity in us. Because it is said that if we claim that we love God that we have not seen, and we cannot exemplify or replicate that same love to our fellow humans that we continuously see every day, then what we are trying to say indirectly is that we are hypocrites. May the Lord grant us wisdom to understand the times. Thank you very much for watching. Please, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Life Class with Ketu Koli. Also, I would like this platform to be as interactive as possible. Let me know your opinion on this. What do you think about Paul Enenche? Do you think that if it was Paul Enenche that died, or it was the wife that died, or one of the daughters, or one of the children that died, it will come on Sunday, 48 hours after the death of his close family members, and start jubilating and dancing and jumping like a cricket, and then praising God and blowing flute and the piano and doing all kinds of things, displaying his musical talent? Will he have that audacity or that state of mind to be able to do that? Do you think that there is a level of discrimination and discrimination in these churches where a set of people are treated less favorably than the others? Do you think it is fair that these people, the leadership of most of these churches, they really even don't care? They are blinded by the fact that there are onlookers and there are people with brilliant minds who can actually spot all these loopholes in the things that they are doing, and yet they are really not bothered, because they are so focused on making the money, let it be. It's all about money, money, money. I actually saw that just recently also, this same Paul Enenche brought out a whole album showing where him and his wife, where they got married when they were young, where they were practicing as doctors, where all kinds of different photos posing with the two of them, husband and wife. And Osinachi, who was a lead singer in his choir, has just been deleted by her husband. So it's like making a mockery of this woman and the woman's family, or indirectly saying to the woman and the husband, you people couldn't do it. You people have failed as a married couple. This is me and my wife. We're happy. This is us. This was how we started. This is how we are growing. I strongly believe that that picture, those set of picture, the album that Paul Enenche actually posted recently, it's was actually ill-timed. It just shows how insensitive and unsympathetic he is, and it just shows that he's a man who lacks empathy. He doesn't feel other people's pain. Unfortunately, it is so sad, and this does not actually replicate the kind of love that Christ exemplified to us. The word is enough for the wise. So your turn to Israel. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.